In 2017, Matt and Tim drove all the way out to Utah. We did the epic trail known as the Hole in the Rock. Then we made our way to Moab for a week of fun in the amazing Slick Rock playground that surrounds this unique desert town. We started calling that trip the Monkey Ball Crawl, and we knew we had to do it again next year. Now fast forward to 2018, and we were making plans to meet up in Moab again, but this time we wanted to invite our fans to come along for the ride. We had no idea if anyone would even show up, but we named the time and the place and we went for it. To our pleasant surprise, 9 vehicles and almost 24 people showed up to ride with us. We decided to do Metal Masher. It's one of Moab's more difficult trails, but the unbelievable scenery makes up for the challenge. The question was, could we get this group of complete strangers through this tough trail in one piece? Or would the whole thing be one big disaster? Well, there's only one way to find out.
There it is, guys. Here's Matt's Command Sheep. It's the very first outing. He just rolled it off the trailer. We're about to do Metal Masher and some various other trails here in Moab.
This is going to be an epic first, what do you call it?
Maiden voyage.
Maiden voyage for this thing.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been flexed out yet.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at it real quick. Do it.
The gas pedal is in the carpet.
Perfect.
I'm gonna have to take my shoes off just to drive this thing. It's beautiful up here, but you make one wrong turn and you're a goner. This is kind of funny. The carpet is so close to the pedal and the brake is so close to the gas that I have to take my shoe off just to drive. Otherwise, when I go to lift up, it just hits the back of the pedal. I need to bend this over that way a little bit, and then I think it'll work out. Alright, we found our first issue with the Comanche heap here.
It says overload.
You're overloaded already and you haven't even started it yet.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there it is. So the drive shaft is contacting the skid plate right here when I'm going downhill, and there's a lot of weight on the front end. It's pushing up in there, making a racket.
Smacking pretty good.
This gets really close too, but I don't see any evidence that it's hitting.
Sorry, I don't know what that means.
And right here, let's see if I can see it. Come on.
Focus.
Right there, I need to clearance this box out more, way up here, because it's hitting the spring. I clearanced it out already, but it wasn't enough. And this piece right here is hitting and binding right there too, so I either need to clearance this or move this whole clip forward, or just cut that out completely from the weld over. Okay, come over here. Oh, I gotta turn it on. Yeah, just didn't have time to do it. That did help. Thank you.
You good? You done?
Yeah.
Gonna take the rest of this off here? That away? You ain't made?
I don't know.
Let me help you a little bit here. So you're hitting right there. That's about right.
Yeah, hopefully that'll work. Thank you.
How much did you take off? Just that little bitty bit right here?
Yeah, just a little bit. It was just barely touching, but it was enough to go clang, 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 clang.
Oh, yeah.
Make a racket.
All right. You think that's enough?
Hopefully it doesn't go up now and hit the oil pan. That might have been my oil pan bump stuff.
That might suck. This will be a short trip if it does. For sure. That's the great thing about off-roaders. They're always willing to help one another. We gave these guys a few stickers and thanked them profusely, and they packed up their tools, never asked for a dime, and off they went.
Alright, so long-term goal, I want to turn these sliders into air tanks, but I didn't have time to do that before I left, so that's why we didn't have any air for more than a couple seconds. But if you fill this up with air up to, 120 pounds or whatever, then you have, I think we figured that would be about 3 gallons a side. If I do both sides, that'd be 6-gallon tank.
With the trail repairs to the command sheep finished, we headed for home, confident that all would go well tomorrow. We gathered at the trailhead the morning of the ride, and while we waited for any stragglers to arrive, Matt gave out boxes of free swag. Confident that we weren't leaving anybody behind, we convoyed up the mesa and gathered for a briefing in the small valley that stands like an ancient gateway to the trail. With the briefing behind us, it was time to start wheeling.
Welcome to the second annual Monkey Ball Crawl. All right, you guys ready to do some wheeling? Yes! Thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate you supporting the channel, guys. Yeah. Let's go ride.
I absolutely loved the variety of Jeeps that showed up to ride with us. The lineup included several Cherokees, some nearly stock with very few modifications, all the way up to V8 swap dual transfer case rock monsters. We had a TJ that those with sharp eyes will recognize as driven by our newest video partner, Nate. We met him for the first time on this ride. We had a two-door JK and even a bone-stock Vietnam-era M151A1C, still sporting its 106mm recoilless rifle mounted in the bed. And don't forget this awesome Gladiator pickup with a super clean 5.3-liter V8 swap and dual transfer cases. More on the great story of this truck later. We couldn't have asked for a more diverse range of Jeeps, and yet everyone seemed to almost instantly meld together as a group, all brought together by their passion for off-roading and a quirky YouTube channel called BleepinJeep. Soon after the first obstacle, Nate had an O-ring failure in his power steering pump that was bleeding power steering fluid all over the place. A quick search revealed none of us had a suitable replacement, and if the pump ran dry and burned up, Nate'd be stranded, unable to steer those massive 40-inch tires. He kept a close eye on it and pushed on, not wanting to back out so early in the trail. Unfortunately, this would not be our last mechanical failure.
Oh.
I guess this just wasn't his day. What we initially thought was a U-joint failure was actually the strap bolts holding the bearing caps on shearing off in the yoke of the transfer case. Not an easy fix without a drill and a broken bolt extractor. He wired the front driveline up out of the way, and in an eerily familiar situation, he'd have to face the rest of the trail in two-wheel drive. Now I guess we've probably all been the guy with a busted rig at one time or another, and nobody wants to be left behind. But seeing this group of formerly complete strangers step up to get him through the rest of the trail was a demonstration of true class. It made me proud that these are the kind of people that follow our channel. To his credit, the owner of the Gladiator drove his truck hard through the rest of the trail, trying to be as little burden on the group as possible. In the end, we all made it. Maybe BleepinJeep is just a YouTube channel, another source of noise in a world gorged on entertainment. But as we descended the mesa, my thoughts dwelt on how a group of complete strangers from all over the country, all drawn to a remote part of Utah, met this morning for the first time. Yet by the end of the day, we're treating each other like old friends. Thanks to all who attended this year's Monkey Ball Crawl. We hope we see you again next year. You're all welcome at my campfire anytime.